All right, Jenn Aube from Do You Bake and Crave It. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes to talk about all of your amazing PR success.
Sure, Josh. I'm like really excited to be here.
And so you and I recently started working together, and I'm wondering if you could kind of talk about, maybe what those first few steps, those first few things that you did, and just kind of what you've experienced from that.
Yeah, so it's awesome. I mean, you and your team are fantastic. So I'll start and preface it with that. When I first got into this with you, I had no idea what to expect. I had no idea what type of work or time commitment. So I just kind of dove in. I mean, you and I had sort of that initial onboarding conversation. And then from there, you gave me sort of my charge in terms of do these things and we'll help you along the way. And, again, it was that entire onboarding process of watching your videos, of, shooting you a message, of shooting Rachel a message and saying, hey, how do I do this? And responding to the media inquiries. So my first few, I was really nervous. I wanted to write what I felt they wanted to hear, what I felt. Do you know what I mean? It's like my first few responses were, does this look good enough? Does this sound great enough? And I sent those off to Rachel and she gave me some advice. And I have to tell you, Josh, once I got rid of sort of getting out of my own way, and I use this a lot even with other folks that I talk about with wellness, get out of your own head, get out of your own way, be who you are, be authentic. And if you believe in what you're doing, your mission and your vision, it comes through in your writing and when you talk to people. So the minute I did that, and the minute that I said, this is who I am, this is what I stand for, really not hearing what other opinions are out there, because I come from a place of authenticity of my own experience, it just started to grow from there. And I would hear back from the media, and even doing the phone interviews, I take that same approach. Your first one, you get nervous because you don't want to sound stupid. You want to sound educated enough. And what I realized is people really do, from the folks that I spoke to, the media, they want to know. They want to hear your experience because there's so many people that are out there like me or other people with their stories, and it gives you a way to connect with people. So when I talk to the media now, it's from my point of view being able to share my knowledge and help people. And I come from a place of helping, and I just love it. So for me, I've loved every aspect of it, whether it's being interviewed for something to do with how to grow a business as an entrepreneur and my entrepreneurial success, whether it has something to do with health and wellness. All of it just comes from a place of passion and authenticity. And I just share my story. That's all I do, is share my story.
That's incredible. So could you share maybe some specific examples of some different media outlets that you've been featured in lately?
Yeah, I'm so excited. So we got a few coming up, but I'll talk about the ones that recently been in. And it's happened so fast, it's almost been incredible. We were featured in Redbook magazine, the actual magazine, and they also posted the article online, so we're featured on Redbook Online. My story's been featured in Prevention Online magazine and was syndicated through Women's Health.
Wow.
And then most recently, I had the most amazing article written through Runner's World Online that everybody I sent the article to said that the article was so well written, and it was also syndicated on their Facebook page, is on a bunch of other of their motivation centers. It was, it had well over 900 or 1,000 likes within the first day, hundreds of shares. And so for me, that empowers me to keep moving forward because it shows me people are interested in learning about how to make changes and just provide a little bit of hope. So there's a few other. I got into Open Express and American Express as well, nice. Open Forum, and a couple other online health outlets as well, like HealthZet and LifeZet. Love them. They're fantastic as well. And it just continues from there.
Oh my gosh. So for those, for those we use a tool, we have an agency level membership through a service called Hero, which is part of Vocus Incision. And that's one tool that we use. And, if you follow exactly, and you do, and Jenn, I have to compliment, if you follow exactly what we tell you to do, and you really work on your responses to learn how to communicate in a way that the media are going to really be attracted to, and you're fast. You do exactly what they ask. Really, and you've also worked on your authority and credibility, which I know you've done that as well. this is a system. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, it's just as long as once you get the ball rolling and you really, okay, wait a minute, what Josh was talking about or what Rachel advised me to do, let me go ahead and try it that way. We've been doing this for years. We know exactly what works. And it may, just like you mentioned, it may not be the first inclination in how we want to respond. Because sometimes we feel like, oh my gosh, I have to look perfectly polished and I have to, just tell this story. I'm an expert and there's no scratches or dings on me. When in fact, I think one thing that you pointed out is, when you do that, it becomes less relatable. And so I really love that tip. Any other tips that you could recommend to other people who are considering using this service? And again, I'm sharing this message with people who are considering working with us and also people who are already working with us who are like, ooh, I want the same results Jenn is getting.
Yeah, so you have to be consistent. So I set aside time every day to do this. And it's always in the morning when I wake up. So it's predictable in terms of when I get the responses in and around, an hour or two in terms of inquiries. So I'm always filtering through the inquiries right when I get up in the morning. And I do get up early. And then before I go to bed at night, I also do it then. And then if I have time, I also take a look at them sort of in the midpoint of the day. So I am doing this 3 times a day. I schedule it into my day. Mm-hmm. And for that, consistency is important. It's no different than anything in life, and using weight loss as sort of an example. You have to be consistent and you have to put your effort forward. And use Rachel when you start to have her preview and take a look at your composition so that she can give you some advice on how to polish it better.
Yeah.
And for me, those first steps were invaluable. And then from there it was like sort of rock and roll, baby. Let's just keep going.
So Rachel, by the way, for those who don't know, Rachel's is our project manager for most of our PR clients. So Jenn, is it worth it then?
Without a doubt, it's worth it. Without a doubt, because it lends a level of credibility not only to yourself, but the organization that you're building that is invaluable. And if somebody's going to ask me today, what's my return on investment? There's no number I can put around it. Again, it's credibility. And, people would give their eye teeth for this level of credibility and exposure. Forget about just standard, book read, hardcover media, but to be able to be featured online and have your name associated online with some of these great media outlets that are doing some fantastic work is invaluable. So I don't put a number around it for the reason that it gives and brings so much more to the table.
Yeah. And you think about, I think the thing that's exciting for me when I think about this is the foundation that we're building for the next 5 to 10 years. And if we're at this level of media credibility today, imagine what is ahead for you in the next few years. I mean, we have clients that are now getting on reality TV shows or getting larger and larger TV appearances, national media appearances. And it all starts with, this, feature in Prevention Magazine, or it might start here or there. And it really, that's the thing about media credibility is you just keep building upon this foundation. You just keep on climbing the ladder. And I think another thing that's good is that you get a lot of experience too. Because as you mentioned, the first time you did that phone interview with a reporter was a little nervous. It made you a little nervous. Understandable.
Right, exactly. And it's honestly fantastic, and being able to help influence and expose issues that are important to you on a broad scope. I mean, again, I think that if you look at the short term, long term, I think you can't look at this myopically. Yeah. You have to have a long term vision. I mean, if you're in building your corporation or your organization for the long term, and I say this to every entrepreneur, you can't look at it on a day by day, hour by hour basis. You perform the things in order to be productive, to make your goals, but those are just little pieces that add and stepping stones. And you're right, your collection, you look down the street in terms of 5 or 10 years of where you'll be, and I can't imagine myself not doing this now, not continuing with it, because it just adds so much additional scope to what you're doing and your vision that when people look at you, they go, oh wow. They start to gravitate towards your message and towards your vision and the products you're selling and all of that.
That's fantastic. So I guess, Jen, one more piece of advice to someone who's saying, well, gosh, I know I need more exposure. Well, maybe I ought to, and there's nothing wrong with advertising. I think everybody ought to advertise, but someone who's considering doing a lot more publicity, I guess what would be your charge to that person who's considering doing more PR for their business?
So yeah, we do all spend money on advertising and other elements. That's a given. And I know, as a small business owner, I'll give my quick background. I run a debt-free company. I bootstrap the company. Cost, money to me is important. I'm in a growth stage, which means cost, money, cash is even more important to me. But there's no reason not to do it. And again, I go back to, you can't buy your way into this level of, I don't want to say talking, exposure, eyeballs, discussion at all. I mean, you want to talk funny, is I looked at one of the major magazines that had already published me, and I have another one coming out, and published our story. And it was almost really funny to me to look at what they charge an advertiser for a quarter-page piece to talk about their business and their organization. And so if I can take the approach that I'll provide value, and I love to provide value, and I love to talk about what I'm doing, and they can use that because it helps their readers, I win, not only from the level of exposure, but look at how much I would have paid just to get my name into something. And people gloss over advertising today. It's a different world, guys. They want to hear content. They want to know what's going on. They don't care about the pretty ad and the piece of paper anymore. And so for that reason, I would say there's no reason why you shouldn't make the decision to work with you and work on PR. It's a no-brainer to me today. And I come from a place of where cash is an important element of my business.
Well, Jenn Aube, thank you so much for joining us. So your companies Do You Bake and Crave It. And thank you so much for sharing your experiences, and congratulations on your success. And it's a great honor to be able to work together with you and help create all this publicity. And it's going to be exciting to see what lies ahead. You've got a great story. I think you've learned how to tell it very, very well. And you do so very authentically. And it's really, really exciting to see the rewards that you're enjoying. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Josh.